All right, so this next one on page 343 says graph negative 14 plus 2y is less than negative x. Graph it by hand. So this time they do not want you to use a graphing calculator, and frankly, neither do I. All right, so I'm just mentally looking for this, usually, especially when you graph it, but anytime you plot a graph, usually for me, it's easier to just think y is whatever mx plus b. And so I'm going to move the 14 over like so by adding 14 to both sides. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And when all of that is said and done, here's what I get. Okay. And here's what they got. It's just I didn't fill in the little boxes. Okay. So we have y is less than negative 1/2 x plus 7. Okay. So first of all, the inequality uses just a less than symbol, so we're going to use a dashed line, not a solid one, okay? And that's going to show that the points on the line are not part of the solution, okay? Moving down. So ignore this for just a second. What I did is I took the y-intercept, so I started at 7, and then I went down 1 and over 2, down 1 and over 2, down 1 and over 2, so that I could get my line. But when I drew my line, I made it a dashed line, okay? Then I pick a point on either side of the line. And technically, I picked a point on the underside of the line. And I picked the origin because usually that's kind of easy. Put the y value in and the x value in. And I come up with 0 is less than 7. So I didn't even bother doing a point on the other side because this one makes the equation true. And so I'm going to shade that side. So it says shade the appropriate part of the graph. The inequality uses the symbol less than. So shade under the boundary line. And that's typically the way it's going to work. Okay. Okay, so they gave me a little box to check my work, which is basically what I've already done up here. But they gave, hey, let's use 0, 0, which is the point I actually used. And let's use 8, 8. So 0, 0 was below the line. 8, 8 was above the line. Negative 14 plus 2 times 0, which is 0. So negative 14 on this side is less than negative 0. So negative 14 is less than 0. True, true. Okay. But when I use 8, 8, negative 14 plus 16 gives me 2 on the left-hand side. And I've got negative 8 on the right-hand side. 2 is not less than negative 8. 2 is a bigger number than negative 8, so that's false. So I know above the line is false, below the line is true, and that's what we did. That's what we shaded. All right, I'm now on page 344, and I would like you guys to take a look at number 3 and number 4. And do them yourself. I will go over them in just a second, but I want you to pause here and plot them. I would recommend doing them by hand just for practice. But I think the first thing you need to do probably is rearrange it so that it says y inequality sign mx plus b sort of thing, y inequality. So basically you're solving it for y before you plot it. That's handy because when you solve it for y, you will get a slope and a y-intercept, which makes it really easy to draw your line. Now, I can already tell you here and here, that's just a less than sign and a less than sign. So both of these lines, when you plot them, will be dashed lines, okay? And then you're going to have to decide which way to shade, pick a couple of points, test the points. Okay. All right. Well, when you think you've gotten them and you want to check your answers, then push play and see what you get. All right. On number 3, when I solved for y, I got y is greater than 5x plus 3. Just a reminder, if you ever have to divide or multiply by a negative number when you have an inequality situation, you need to make sure that the sign flips. Which is what happened here. All right, then it's kind of close, but 0, 0 is not on the line. It's on the right-hand side of the line. So I used 0, 0. and put in 0 and 0. 0 is greater than 0 plus 3. Is 0 greater than 0 plus 3? No, it is not. That's why I drew a slash through it. Remember, I tested 0, 0 as my point, and it was on this side of the line, and that made the statement false. So this is not the side that makes it true, so don't shade that side. Shade the other side. Now, could I pick a point back here, put it in here, and double check? Yes, and that's probably a good idea. Also, notice that the line is dashed and not solid. All right, let's go to 4. Rearrange so that you have a slope and a y-intercept. Y is less than negative 5/4 x plus 8. So you start with your y-intercept, and you're going to go down 5 and over 4, down 5 and over 4. Draw your line. It needs to be a dashed line because it's just a less than. And then pick your point. I like 0, 0, like I said. Up here, I wound up putting it back in the original equation, which is fine. And I get 10 times 0 plus 8 times 0. So all of this is 0. And is 0 less than 64? Yes, it is. So this is the side that makes the statement true. So I shade that side. All right, I'm now looking at the bottom of page 344 where it says creating models with linear inequalities. And it says Elijah can spend at most $8.25 on snacks for a party. Carrots cost $2 a package and grapes cost 75 cents a package. Write a linear inequality to describe the situation. Okay. Remember, for me at least, it sometimes helps for me to go, all right, here's the bracket. This is what he can spend. What he can spend has to be at most, okay, this guy. At most. So what he can spend has got to be less than or equal to $8.25. So that's kind of the way I talk myself through it to make sure that the inequality is pointing in the right direction. Okay, then once you've kind of constructed that, $2 for the carrots, 75 cents for each set of grapes. All of that has to be less than $8.25. Rearrange to solve for y. Y has got to be less than or equal to negative 8/3 x plus 11. Continuing on the top of page 345. The slope is negative 8/3. The y-intercept is 11. Boundary line is the negative 8/3 x plus 11. The boundary line is solid because it says or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay. We're going to shade under because it's less than or equal to. But we can always double check that. Just a word of warning. This apparently does not go with whatever equation we're talking about because I have no idea what that is. So just ignore that. And you can just kind of sketch the situation. That's all I did. All right, one more thing before I end this particular screencast. Please write yourself a reminder somewhere. When you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, please flip the sign. If you don't, it's going to spell disaster. So make sure you do.